Wolverine, the Ol Canucklehead. That's a horrible nickname. I love Chris Claremont, but that's ridiculous. I don't understand why that was a thing, ever. Calling Wolverine the Ol Canucklehead is like calling Black Panther the Ol Africat, or calling Superman the Ol Crypto Nerd. I love Wolverine, and like every 90s kid, I wanted to be Wolverine. I wanted to be 5'3" with an adamantium skeleton, but that was mostly because at the time I was 4'8". Everybody wanted the rad claws, but most importantly, everybody wanted the super healing factor. Aside from the animalistically heightened senses and enhanced strength and durability, his healing factor was his main power. It makes him virtually invincible, but not really immortal. But he ages incredibly slowly. Considering he's about 300 years old in the original Old Man Logan storyline, that means that he could live anywhere from 700 to 1,000 years, considering in that story he's in his late 40s? But this is not a question of how long Wolverine's going to live. No, not at all. This is a question of what Wolverine does with that super healing factor in his downtime. The question is, can Wolverine get drunk? Hi, I'm comic book nerd and intoxicant enthusiast Dan Umphin. Welcome to the Doomcast. Tip up your cup, throw your hands up, and listen to the party say, I'm the best there is at what I do. Wolverine's been shown to be immune to or quickly recover from most poisons, and since your body does treat alcohol as a poison to your brain and your bloodstream, it's something that his super healing factor does take care of. But it's also been established in comics that if he drinks fast enough and in large enough quantities, he can get drunk. But can doesn't exactly answer the question of how, so let's go ahead and address that. The average adult person metabolizes about 1 drink per hour, and that's a glass of wine, a beer, or a shot of 90 proof liquor, and it takes about 3 of those in the course of an hour to raise a person's blood alcohol percentage to about 0.08 and put them in a state of legal intoxication, but only a big fat wiener baby ding-dong killjoy would really call that actually drunk. So it takes about 7 to 8 real beers for an average adult male, maybe more, depending on your tolerance and weight, to get you to a state of what we would call shit-faced. There's a number of comics in which Wolverine's been depicted as drinking, but in Wolverine number 900, which is a non-sequential weird thing, he's shown drinking with Spider-Man, drinking about 2 shots over 5 panels, we'll call it about 3 minutes, where he goes from drunk to hungover to sober again, a process that takes most people about 10 to 12 hours to accomplish with their regular non-mutant livers. If we take that at face value, and we assume that his liver and healing factor does in fact work 200 times faster than normal people's, which makes sense given the fact that he's recovered from being a skeleton, then that would mean that he would have to drink about 20 full bottles of 90 proof liquor in an hour to actually stay drunk. So that's completely ridiculous. If it's even close to that, actually, it's a total waste of time and way too expensive to actually drink, unless he's just a real fan of the taste of scotch or likes the flavor of a complex beer. And maybe that's the case. But what if we're overlooking the actual elephant in the room and that Wolverine has actually been choosing another method of relaxation that we've been ignoring? That's right. Hasn't been tobacco in those cigars this entire time. They've been big, fat blunts full of the dankest kush. It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg. You know what happened with the D.R.E. Smoke weed every day. But cannabis actually bonds with existing cannabinoid receptors in the human body. So unlike a lot of other drugs like alcohol, weed isn't metabolized by your body like a poison at all, except for the effects of the smoke damage on your lungs. So the effects for someone with a super healing factor smoking marijuana would last about as long as they probably would for a normal person, about 2 to 5 hours depending on how much they actually smoked. I'm the best there is at what I do, and what I do is stay super chill. Beyond that though, it might actually have very beneficial effects for somebody like Wolverine, as the DEA just gave permission for scientists to start using cannabis for soldiers with PTSD and studying the effects of it, and if it works well, that might be something that's prescribed to soldiers in the future. For somebody like Logan, who's seen 2 or 3 lifetimes worth of traumatic events, it could be very beneficial. Moreover, the chronic pain-relieving effects and general calming effects of indica strains of cannabis have long been used holistically, as well as used to improve both the first and second Wolverine films, and have been prescribed by doctors in both the United States and Canada. I mean, how can it not be weed, right? He's Canadian, and their flag is a giant leaf. I know it's a maple leaf, but I mean, he's basically the divorced dad of comics. He's a mentor to a bunch of young girls, he drives a motorcycle around, wears leather a lot, smokes cigars that are obviously full of weed, and probably goes to Waffle House pretty much every single day at the same time. That's it for this week. Thank you very much for checking us out, and check us out at ICBC's MiniCon on July the 30th. As always, check out Capes Cafe in the Des Moines Social Club downtown. It's a great location. They have fantastic coffee and other beverages there, as well as great comics. Also, my pick this week, if you are not already picking it up, check out Jeff Lemire's Old Man Logan, the same title as the original Mark Millar series. It's great, but for a lot of different reasons, and it's a great continuation of the story that they started in Secret Wars. Thanks. We'll see you next week.